Good morning. Welcome to the Tri-Valley Career Center's Employer Spotlight interview series. I'm Amy Miller, and I work with the Tri-Valley Career Center, a service of the Chabot-Las Positas Community College District, and I'm here to help employers and job seekers connect. And today we have Michelle Clark, a recruiter from Northwind Services. Welcome, Michelle.
Hi, thank you.
We're glad you're here. Why don't we just start? Why don't you just introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about you and Northwind.
Okay, perfect. My name is Michelle Clark. I'm the recruiting coordinator with Northwind Services at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory. Northwind Services, we're a premier government subcontractor. So we hire employees to work alongside with the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory employees. One of our missions is to enhance the human and organizational performance through the application of technology, design, and best practice administrative support. We hire all kinds of different positions at the laboratory that range from, we've hired from janitorial services all the way up to scientists. So we're a pretty well-rounded group.
Well, that leads me to my next question, which is if you could just tell me some of the positions you're looking to fill, particularly for our next coffee break employer meet and greet event, and maybe some of the qualifications and the background you're looking for, that would be great.
Absolutely. Right now, we actually have a total of 27 different openings, different requisitions, which are our postings, that we are actively recruiting for. They range from a secretary 3 all the way up to a physicist. I want to say some of the main ones that we are trying to fill right now are design drafters or engineering technicians. We have a lot of engineering technicians. Some of the qualifications that they look for within those postings, engineering technician, they mainly want somebody with an associate's degree in engineering technician. Every posting ranges from what they want. Sometimes there's specific duties that they need somebody to be able to do. But wiring, soldering, just things like that, just general engineering technician duties. They'll definitely look at and possibly hire or interview for the position.
And these positions, including the secretary positions and all of those, are these on site or remote? And are these all in Livermore? Can you talk more about that?
So all of them are in Livermore at the Lawrence Livermore Lab. Some of them are remote right now. Some of them are on site. The engineering technicians a lot of them are on site. I don't think that there's a lot of work that they can do remote. A lot of the secretary positions are remote. So they provide you with any of the equipment that you need to complete your job from home. And they'll schedule the meetings, everything like that. And sometimes they're both. Sometimes they'll hire you and say, okay, we need you on site this one day a week, and then the rest of the time you're working from home. So it's kind of a good mixture between everything.
So that just leads me into the obvious COVID question. What kind of protocols and what kind of safety mechanisms are in place to protect the employees, and especially with a new hire, like how does that work?
Right now, we have pretty much adapted to the COVID. Our company has adopted like a completely remote onboarding process. So every interaction we have with a candidate from application to hire is all done completely virtually. We utilize obviously phone and email for communication. Our onboarding process in itself is all a virtual orientation that we schedule. We've pretty much we've come to adopt the Lawrence Livermore Lab safety for COVID also, since we are working with Lawrence Livermore Lab. So if you are required to work on site, the lab itself has adopted a minimum safe operations protocol. So they are having the minimum amount of people on site at any given time as possible. And we have people that go in that have been trained and hired specifically to go in and sanitize everything between shifts, every single day. Everything is being cleaned. We have the mandatory mask mandate on site. And we also have hotlines that you can call if you aren't feeling well in the morning. Don't know if it's just allergies. We have a phone line that you can call and let them know what your symptoms are. We also have a symptom checker that we ask anybody who's coming on site to fill out every single day.
Okay.
And yeah,
Sounds pretty thorough. Thank you for
absolutely.
sharing. I know that's on top of people's minds.
Yes.
So let's just shift gears and talk about how you help candidates prepare for roles. Like what is your role at Northwind? And then what is their connection to Northwind once they do get hired?
My role itself is a recruiting coordinator. So I'm responsible from everything or for everything from creating requisitions all the way to sending out the offer letters and everything in between. I don't have a whole lot of interaction with the candidates until an offer is being made, and then they deal with me until they're onboarded. Our recruiting team is wonderful, though. They help our candidates through every single process. We have resume review that we can do. If we look at your resume, we think things need to be fixed, they will contact and let you know exactly what you should do to your resume to make it stand out a little bit more to the hiring team. We stay in close contact with the candidate at all times through every single process. And we are big on actually calling our candidates to let them know if by chance they weren't selected for the position. We like to keep that personal and contact them personally and let them know. Another thing that we do is we provide some coaching for the interviews. We let you know what the hiring department is looking for. Try and make it as stressless as possible. I know that a lot of times our interviews are for a panel of people, so it could be anywhere from 2 to 7 people in this interview.
Those are fun.
And it is, and it can be very overwhelming. And so we like to prepare our candidates for that. And since all of our interviews are being held virtually right now, we like the day before the interview is scheduled, we schedule a test run to make sure everything's up and running, that we're having no computer issues, everybody knows how to get into the meetings, kind of go over the questions that we believe will be asked, because unfortunately we don't have access to all of the interview questions. But just kind of make sure everybody's comfortable and everybody knows what's going to happen during their interview.
So once someone's hired, are they your employee or are they the employee of Lawrence Livermore Lab?
They're Northwind employees. So
Okay.
they do work for Northwind. We have contact with them throughout their employment. One thing that we are big on is letting them know we are available anytime. Once you're onboarded, it doesn't mean that we wash our hands of you. We are available anytime. Any question, any concern, we want people to come to us.
That's great. Okay. And then talk a little bit more about Northwind and the culture of your company, how you develop employees. Like you said, you don't lose touch once they're hired. Do you provide any kind of professional development and anything you want to touch on there?
We have a lot of training courses available to our employees after hire that they can use to help further their careers, things like that. Like I said, we're in constant contact with our employees, and our number one goal is to turn you into a lab employee. We want you to come work for us until the lab is ready to take you over and make you an employee of their own. And so anytime that there's an issue, we like to take it on first. We sit down with the candidate. Well, right now we call the candidate or the employee, and we talk over the issues with them. We figure out a plan going forward that would better help them go further in their position, and something that will even work for the hiring department so that everybody's happy. And that we don't lose employees. That's our one thing that we don't like. If we're going to lose employees, we want to lose them to the lab, and that's it.
Great. That's great. Can you share a little bit about the process and what that might look like for a job seeker who wants to work with Northwind?
Absolutely. So from start to finish, the number one thing for a job seeker, it's pretty easy. It's pretty cut and dry, I believe. First, obviously, you apply to our posting. From there, our recruiters go through every single resume that is input into our system. They, read through the resume, make sure the person has the qualifications that would match that job. Sometimes they apply for one job, but we think they're a better fit for another job. Our recruiters then reach out to the candidate, talk to them a little bit about their experience, their qualifications, let them know a little more about the position. If there's a different position, tell them about that. We always email over the job descriptions to our candidates just so that they know exactly what they're applying for. And then from there, once we get the okay from the candidate, we submit their resume to the hiring department at the lab. The lab is the one who makes all the final decisions. So once they receive the resumes, they go through all of the resumes, select who they would like to interview. If you're selected for an interview, we contact you, we schedule the interview obviously at a time that works best for everybody, the hiring department and the candidate. We will help coach you through that interview if need be. And actually, our recruiters are sitting in on these virtual interviews too, which I think has been very helpful for our candidates and feeling a little more calm. And then once the interview happens, the hiring department makes their hire selections. And so then we contact the candidate, let them know that they're selected for hire, and then we have our approvals process after that.
Okay, that's great. Can you talk about a little bit about the practical stuff like pay structure, how that works, negotiating, all of that? Are there benefits, those kinds of things?
Absolutely. So a lot of our positions are what we call wage determined positions, that they're wages that are set by the Department of Labor. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of negotiation we can do on those positions. We do also hold open positions. These positions are dependent upon experience. Obviously, anything that's dependent upon experience is up for negotiation. We do have certain rules that we have to stick to when finding pay scales for these positions. But we do like to work with the candidate as much as possible and get them to a pay that they're comfortable with and that we can do for them. Benefits, all of our full-time positions are fully benefited positions. You're offered health, dental, vision, 401k. Our health plans, we go by the Federal Employee Benefit Program. And so we have, I think, maybe more than 20 different health plans that you can choose from. So
Wow.
you kind of get to look at it and choose what works best for what you want to pay, what works best for your family, by things that you get from each health plan, everything like that. So there's a nice different things that you could choose from.
Right. No, that sounds great. It's very enticing.
Yes.
Finally, is there anything that I didn't ask you about that you'd want to share today for potential candidates and employees that are watching this video?
I think you touched a lot of what Northwind is. The one thing I want to state is that Northwind is not a temporary service. We aren't hiring you for temp jobs. When you are hired with Northwind, unless the contract states that it is a short-term position, and we tell you ahead of time that it is a 3-month contract or anything like that, when you're hired on with Northwind, you are a full-time benefited employee. You are offered the same benefits that any other employee are offered. And yeah, that's a big misconception about us. People say, oh, you're a subcontractor to the lab, so it's a temp position. No, it is not a temp position.
That's good to know. Okay, well, I just want to say thank you for being here. We are actually having a meet and greet. If you are interested in Northwind, you can meet Michelle on February 19th from 10 to 11:30 a.m. At a virtual event. You can find out more information if you go to the Tri-Valley Career Center's website at trivalleycareercenter.org. And it was great having you here today. Thank you so much, Michelle.
Thank you.